My daughter used forged documents to have me committed, so I used my late wife's secret will to expose her to the entire community. My daughter forged my medical records to have me declared with mild cognitive decline. She planned to sell my house and lock me away in a nursing home, but she never expected my late wife had left behind a secret will, locked behind one ironclad principle. That will wasn't about money. It was a perfect trap, forged in paperwork, law, and honor. My name is Robert Henderson, 67, Fort Collins, Colorado. That night was quiet like every other. The fireplace crackled. The wall clock ticked steady. My coffee had gone cold on the kitchen table. I was about to switch off the light when my phone buzzed. A red icon blinked. One voicemail. I opened it. Emma's voice. My daughter. Sent by mistake. I knew because it didn't start with "Hi, Dad." Just a breathless pause. Then the clack of a door lock like they were hurrying into the car. "Richard, no, Derek, listen," Emma said, low but urgent. "Dad won't see it coming. Carol says guardianship is easy once the report says mild cognitive decline." I went still. Every word dropped like a stone. Guardianship. Mild cognitive decline. I set the phone on the table, hit pause. The voicemail light blinked again, taunting. I picked it up, hit play from the beginning. This time Derek's voice came in, deep and dry. "We just need the papers lined up. If he signs nothing, we still have Carol. Paper can say he's confused." I heard Emma pop the car lock. "The house is at, what, 480? We move him to St. Francis, 800 a month, done." I turned the phone off. A draft slipped through the garage door seam and cut straight to my bones. I asked myself, what did my child just call me? I reached for the garage bolt, the scrape of metal on metal, like I could lock in the words I'd just heard. Useless. They stayed in my head, clear as glass. I opened the metadata. 3 minutes, 12 seconds. Sent at 9:47 p.m. The file name on the screen. VN_MMA_947.M4A. Beneath it, Emma's missed call at 9:49 p.m. Must have panicked when she realized she sent it wrong. I didn't call back. I didn't text. I just stared at the cold coffee. My black marker scrawl. No payment, no performance. I stuck it up after a volunteer shift at the town hall when a band got stiffed and walked. Back then I only meant to remind myself, life has rules. Money for work, not one word extra. Tonight those 6 words felt heavy as a hammer. They were about work. They could also be about respect. I pulled open the drawer by the oven. Ruth's old file folder, my late wife, sat neat and square. House, original deed plus addendum. My fingertips touched the edge and shook. I didn't open it. I needed to hear the rest. I went back to the kitchen, hit play again. An engine turning over. Emma's voice. "I booked a checkup for Tuesday. He won't question it. He trusts me." Derek. "We should get the POA in place. Carol said the clerk can guide the wording." Pages rustling. Emma whispering. "HC form POA draft. Co-signer Robert Henderson. We'll tell him it's just a bank update." I shut my eyes. I saw my girl at 16 on the back of my bike. arms tight around my waist in a hard rain. I heard her laugh when I drew a cat on her sandwich with ketchup. I saw winters of overtime, hands greasy, coming home at midnight, quietly tucking tuition money into the tin box on top of the cabinet. I saw Ruth wiping my sweat, saying, "Help, not enable." Soft voice, steel edge. I opened my eyes. I didn't cry. I kept listening. Derek. We can rent out the place or sell, wipe our cards clean. Emma. And Dad. He'll be safe. He forgets things. Derek's small laugh. He forgets because you hide the bills. I stopped it. The kitchen shrank. The fridge stared like a witness. I laid my palm on the wood table, cold, flat, solid. I told myself, very quietly, easy. I looked at the clock, 9:58 p.m. I pulled up the phone, snapped a screenshot of the voicemail metadata, saved it to folder, evidence. Named it. I opened the file cabinet in the living room where I keep everything with wet ink. Mortgage, insurance, furnace warranty, passbooks, Ruth's letters. In the second drawer was a thinner, newer folder. HC Form POA Draft. Cosigner, Robert Henderson. Not my handwriting. Printed font. Sky blue highlighter circling cosigner. I pulled the whole folder out. On top was an appointment reminder. Tuesday, doctor, 10:30 a.m. A clinic I'd never set foot in. I tilted it under the light. A small italic line. Cognitive screening included. A hinge inside me creaked. Part of me wanted to tear it up. Another part said, "Leave it, right where it is." The greedy hate surprises most. I'd keep the surprise for me. The phone buzzed. Facebook alert. Emma had just posted in Fort Collins Neighbors. Title: Elder Safety Tips, Caring for Aging Parents. The photo was an old hand holding a young one. I tapped in but didn't read. The seed was planted. I didn't want to water it with my anger. I stood in the kitchen, listening to the heat, in through the nose, out through the mouth. I thought of Ruth. She always taught, when you're betrayed, don't shout. Count to 5, then find paper. I pulled out a chair, took the lined notebook, wrote 4 items. Bank, Nora, verify authorizations, change beneficiary. County Clerk, Carol, verify documents, record audio. Attorney, Harrison Ford, 3-layer strategy. St. Francis, verify enrollment fee, send written notice if there's misrepresentation. I closed the notebook, slid open the kitchen drawer, dropped the small recorder into my coat pocket, turned off the kitchen light, stood a moment looking at the cold coffee, touched the rim. Cold. I whispered, "Coffee reheats. Trust doesn't." I killed the living room light. The dark gathered like a thick blanket over my chest. I didn't fight it. I let it fall so I could hear what was inside. Meta sex. 0.05. Small but clear. No respect. No relationship. Not for Emma to read. She doesn't come into the kitchen late. It was for me. So that in the morning I'd see it and remember. I get to set terms. I went to the bedroom, switched on the lamp, pulled Ruth's house original deed plus addendum from the drawer under the bed, set it in front of me. The folder was worn, corners frayed, but Addendum was still sharp. Ruth had written by hand along the inside margin, "Help, not enable." I ran my fingers over her letters. It felt like a hand settling on mine. I didn't open it yet. I knew once I did, I'd be on a road with no turn back. I snapped a photo of the cover, saved it to evidence, slid the folder into the black document pouch, zipped it, locked the phone. Heard the click. Small, clean, final. I went back to the kitchen one last time, looked around the house. Everything normal to the point of pain. Work boots lined up, the 14mm wrench on the garage shelf. Emma's graduation photo hung beside Ruth's. I asked myself, how long have I left this alone? Then I answered, long enough for them to think I can't read the fine print. I shut off every light. The house fell into true quiet. I picked up the document bag. At the bedroom door I spoke aloud, low. Tomorrow, 8 a.m., bank. I closed the door and heard the latch set like a chapter locking shut. Robert locks his phone, picks up Ruth's house original deed plus addendum. Hook, I've left it alone long enough. I slept in fits. Toward morning, my mind opened an old reel on its own. I saw Ruth at the kitchen table, hair tied back, sewing up a worn cloth bag. I saw myself, 20 years younger, hands black with grease, scrubbing at the bathroom sink. Fort Collins was colder back then. Money was tighter. But the house was warm. Ruth died when Emma turned 18. A February afternoon, light snow falling. I carried Emma, shivering outside the ER, and swore, I'll take care of everything. From that day, I worked 2 shifts. Garage by day, fixing generators in an old warehouse by night. Dinner was often just a 99-cent can of soup. I didn't feel ashamed. I felt light. Because the name Henderson still lit up the utility bill. I sold my wedding ring. Scratched gold. Cheap. I hid it from Emma. Told her it was a work bonus. She believed me. I used the money for her first semester at Front Range. The tuition bill showed the number in black ink that never faded. I slipped it into the house, original deed plus addendum folder. Not because it made sense, because I was afraid of losing it. Anything I sweated for, I tucked into the house folder. Emma grew fast. Good at math, spoke with confidence. But she was embarrassed about money. Her friends drove new cars, she rode the bus. They went to Florida for spring break. She worked in a coffee shop. I drilled into her. Earn first, spend after. I was too hard. I discovered I liked order, expense, income, receipt. I set rules for the whole house. Notes taped everywhere. Turn off lights. Shut off water. Card due, 12th. I thought it was disciplined love. I didn't see that sometimes it was fear of poverty, magnified and taped to the walls. One night, when she was 16, she stood in the kitchen, voice catching. Dad, I'm tired. I wiped the table, said, sleep early. By morning, Ruth, in memory, tugged my hand. Help, not enable. I shook it off. I was too busy working. 4 years later, Emma got into a business admin program. heavy tuition. I took on more jobs. I didn't want her in debt. But one day she handed me a private loan form for a small gap. "I'll pay it. You just sign as co-signer." She was 24, eyes bright, hands shaking. I signed. Told her, "This one time." I thought I was helping her through a narrow door. I didn't know I was planting the seed for a shady power of attorney years later. Her husband, Derek, came after she graduated. Not a bad man, quiet, good with Excel. Then one winter his company cut staff. Derek lost his job. The credit card slipped into minimum payments. Emma didn't call me for money. She called to say, "I'm fine," but her voice was wet. I slipped her more cash, never asked for receipts. I thought, this time I'm helping, not enabling. I thought I was following Ruth. In truth, I was erasing my own boundaries. Inside the house folder, between deed and tax papers, there's a thin envelope. Ruth's handwriting. Moral letter. The paper's yellowed, smells like old library books. I've opened it 100 times. Tonight, one more. Ruth's hand, round and firm. "Robert, if I go first, don't turn love into a burden. Help, not enable. Teach her boundaries. Hold dignity with paper and ink. I trust you." Below, a post-it Ruth once stuck to the folder's edge. I've kept it there since. Help, not enable. I taped another one later to the fridge, but how many times have I reversed the order? I thought back on my trade. Smell of hot steel, cracked hands. In winter, warming them on a tailpipe just to loosen. Everything for me had to be measured, weighed, signed. I brought that logic home to raise my daughter, forgetting feelings had no ruler. I taught Emma to track every cent. Good. But I taught her to fear mistakes more than to understand them. I turned to the old mortgage paper. Small font, crowded lines. I used a magnifier. One clause I'd underlined in red years ago. Any unauthorized transfer triggers penalty and potential due on sale. I smiled, weary. The man scared of poverty back then was still useful now. Those dry words would be the stone under the wheel of their plan. On my nightstand hangs a 14mm wrench like a charm. It reminded me of the day I taught Emma to change a tire. She grinned wide. "Dad's girl isn't afraid of grease." I laughed hard, told her, "You can be scared of anything except bad logic." That line boomeranged back tonight, hitting me like a slip. I had poured logic into her and left no room for soft trust. I remembered a time Emma came over, glanced at the gas bill, whispered, "Dad, why is it so high this month?" I snapped, "Worry about your own debt." Her face fell. Derek sat there, pretending to scroll his phone. I thought I was teaching independence. I didn't know I was building a wall. That wall, tonight, I have to climb to see her fear. Fear of falling back into a childhood of want. Fear makes people foolish. Add Derek's job loss and Carol's back door at the clerk's office. Fear became a plan. I closed Ruth's letter, slid it under the addendum. On it, Ruth had written our family's small rule. All major signatures require witnesses plus recording, no exceptions. Back then I laughed, told her she was running a company. She said, "Family's an organization too. If we want to love long, we need bylaws." She was right. I hadn't enforced them strictly enough. I pulled the lower drawer, took my notebook. The last page held my handwritten contacts, all caps neat. Nora, branch manager, 970. I added, 8 a.m. double underline. I'd known Nora 15 years. Once, when the network crashed, she brewed coffee for the whole line and said something I never forgot. Money is data. Data leaves a trail. Every trail tells. Meta, not shouting. I stood, crossed to the wardrobe. My scratched wedding band sat in a wooden box. I picked it up, cold running through my hand. I whispered to Ruth, "I'm sorry." I taught her how to count, not how to stop. I put the ring back, closed the lid. I stuck a new post-it on the folder. No respect, no relationship. I read it aloud, like reciting a clause in my own life. The phone buzzed. A text from Emma. "Dad, you awake? I'll drop by tomorrow. Got you a checkup Tuesday, 10:30. Good for you." I stared at good. I wanted to fire back something blunt. I erased. I typed. Later. Bank in the morning. Sent. I watched the 3 dots blink, then vanish. No reply. I sat on the edge of the bed, listened to the wind slide through the window frame. Told myself, like programming a machine, "Robert, don't seek revenge. Fix the process." I opened the notebook, wrote in bold, "Don't live by fear of an empty wallet. Live by a clear head." That's the line I'll say to Emma. But not yet. Tonight, it's for me. I packed the papers into the pouch, slipped the recorder in the front pocket, picked up the 14mm wrench just to feel its weight, then set it back. Pulled the coat zipper, sound sharp and straight. Looked in the mirror. A 67-year-old man, eyes still clear. I nodded. Time to let the papers speak. I exhaled long, then stepped out the door. 8. The bank opens. I'll be first in line. 8 a.m. The bank's glass doors slid open, warm air on my face. I was the first customer. Nora, the branch manager, looked up from her screen, gave me the professional smile, then saw the black document pouch under my arm. The smile shifted to concern. "Morning, Robert. What's up?" "I need to review access rights and any power of attorney in my name," I said, voice flat as a steel bench. Nora led me into a small conference room and shut the door. She set her hands on the keyboard, typing fast. "I'll pull up authorizations." The monitor glow flickered in her lenses, green lines scrolling. "There's a POA on file, submitted last week. Submitter, Emma Henderson. Authorizes viewing statements and transfers under a limit." I handed over my ID. Matched the signature. Nora printed the POA, laid it beside my signature on record. She took out a small magnifier, the old habit of a careful person. "Different pen pressure. The slant on the R isn't yours. In Henderson, there's an extra hook on the D you never make." She looked up. "Robert, this isn't your original signature. Put a security alert on the account. Remove all access. Change every password. Close the old account. Open a new one. And I want a beneficiary change to Ruth's Bench Community Trust." I set a USB on the table. "I have a voicemail and scans. Nora worked like she was stripping down a machine. Click, print, stamp. We'll freeze all permissions temporarily and note a fraud investigation. I recommend adding a verbal password for phone calls. I chose a word only Ruth had said to me all our life. Bench. Nora nodded. Set. What about 6 months of statements? I asked. Print everything. She slid a warm stack across the table, the ink still fresh. And this, she said, pushing me an affidavit to sign confirming an unauthorized and the photos of the POA draft I'd found at home. Nora checked quickly, nodded. What else do you need? I need certified timestamps for the access logs. Nora printed the audit trail. Who opened what, when? Everything turned into a trail. I filed it, zipped the pouch. Thank you, Nora. 9:10. I stepped onto the street. No time to shake. I flexed my hands, rolled my neck like clocking into the garage. Next stop, County Clerk. The county office was neon bright, smelling of new paper and photocopiers. Carol sat behind the glass and froze when she saw me. Aunt, Mr. Henderson, today, you didn't have an appointment. I need to see my property file, I said, sliding the parcel number across. My voice was low, not sharp. I flicked on the recorder in my coat pocket. The tiny light went green. Carol disappeared to the back, returned with a thick folder. Property transfer, preliminary. I put on my glasses, turned the pages. A draft naming Emma and Derek as co-owners, pending guardianship. Behind it, a photocopied medical screening note, stamped by a clinic I didn't know. I pressed the lens to the lower corner. Cognitive screening, mild impairment suspected. The word suspected was half smudged, like someone's hand had slipped. How did this get in here? I asked. Carol swallowed. It's a pre-check. Emma said you wanted. I have an addendum requiring all major signatures to have witnesses plus recording, I said evenly. You know that. Ruth left it. I'm not signing anything outside the rules. I set down the voicemail transcript, bolded on the line. Paper can say he's confused. Carol's face changed color. I lowered my voice. Carol, I understand paying for childcare, but these papers are betraying me, and your fingerprints are on them. She glanced around. I messed up, she whispered. Emma said it was just a beneficiary update, then asked me to look at guardianship structure. I didn't ask more. I need the daycare money, her voice broke. I need copies of everything you just handled, I said, and I need you to read one sentence into the recorder. These documents do not bear Robert's signature. I, Carol, inserted materials into the county file before they met legal requirements. She looked at me like someone about to fall into a lake. Then she nodded. She read word for word without skipping. I kept my face calm, but my heart found a steady rhythm. The recorder caught it all. I slid an envelope toward her, big letters, legal notice. I'll be sending written notice about misrepresentation to St. Francis and updating the county. I'm not filing a complaint today, if you fully cooperate. Hands shaking, Carol gave me the POA guardianship drafts, the medical notes, and a routing slip with the staffer who helped review. I tucked it all away. Before I left, I said, Carol, adults can fix their mistakes. Old people shoved the wrong way can't. She cried, nodded. 11:30, I sat in Harrison Ford's office, an older lawyer with a collection of gavels on the wall. He didn't rush to ask what happened. He put out a legal pad and said, Let's build the timeline. I handed him the USB. He plugged it in, played the voicemail, listened in silence. Every time the audio shifted, he wrote a mark. 9:47 p.m. Voicemail sent. 9:49 p.m. Missed call. He lined up the bank audit logs, highlighting times someone tried to access. He pinned the POA draft photos beside the nursing home fee receipt. Appointment Tuesday, 10:30. Cognitive screening. On the wall, a timeline appeared in black marker. Dates, times, exhibits. 3-layer strategy, Harrison said, pointing with his pen like a barrel but speaking warm. Civil, fraud, forged POA, attempted unlawful transfer. Criminal, forgery, elder exploitation, park it. We only trigger if they break an agreement. Media, let evidence speak, not feelings. I don't want to drag my kid to jail, I said. I want structure. Then we'll build a family accord later, he replied. But first, seal every legal exit. He tilted a smile. We won't burn bridges. We'll block exits. He called his assistant. Draft written notices. 1 letter to St. Francis Home. Cancel the intake due to misrepresentation. Attach the voicemail transcript. Confirm no consent by the principal. Demand they destroy the prelim file and respond in writing. Another to all vendors on recent contracts. Invoke no payment, no performance. Only postpone final payments. Keep deposits in place. Include a letter of concern about safety and dignity. Also commit to cover reasonable additional costs per contract. Lawful and reasonable, Harrison said. We want both. He prepared a cease and desist template for any smear posts if needed, and a deposition request for Carol, if she changes her mind. I gave him the recording of Carol's statement. He nodded, marking, Recorder, clear admission. What about media? I asked. No fireworks, he said. We send a sealed packet to a neutral blogger who covers elder fraud, 72-hour embargo. They run a legal analysis only after Emma issues a correction or after 5 to 7 days of silence. Then I'll take a local talk show, no family names, just elder rights. We control tempo, not cheap drama. I nodded. And the Winter Lights Gala? I showed him the email from the community center for this weekend. The pastor wants to read Ruth's moral letter for fundraising. I think that's the place to talk boundaries. Perfect for a public payoff, Harrison said. We don't shame people. We shame behavior. He looked up at me. But first, you face them at home. Don't wait for Tuesday's fake checkup. You take Monday. I pictured my living room, wood table, recorder in the middle, notary at the side, family accord printed. I heard Ruth in my head. Help, not enable. I asked Harrison, if they deny it? We've got the voicemail, audit logs, county copies, Carol's words. Denial drags them into criminal territory. I'll give them a choice. Sign the accord. Public apology, poll posts, 12 weeks of community service. Accept supervised signatures going forward, or we file. He paused, looked me in the eye. Are you sure? I want revenge. I want to fix the process, I said, repeating last night's line. Harrison smiled. A good process can keep a family from becoming a case. He handed me a stack already notarized, the written notices still warm, envelopes stamped in red, legal notice. And Robert, don't text Emma tonight. Let the papers talk. I stepped into the noon sun, light splintering through the leaves. I leaned a forearm on the truck hood, opened my phone. The neutral blogger had replied, Got it, 72-hour embargo. Strictly legal analysis, no names. I sent the anonymized packet through encrypted email. A ping confirmed. I exhaled. On the way home, I stopped at the post office, stood in line, bought certified mail for 4 envelopes. The clerk stamped today's date. Another mark on the trail. I slid the receipts into my pocket, the paper rustling like gears landing in the right teeth. Back home, I laid everything on the table. Notary appointment for Monday morning, Harrison's prepped family accord. The no respect, no relationship clause in bold. The voicemail transcript, audit logs, county copies, the written notices already sent, and Ruth's letter on top. I squared the edges so they lined up true. I wanted everything straight when the truth walked into the room. My phone buzzed. Winter Lights Gala confirmed my speaking time. I hit accept. Another email, the local talk show asking for next week to discuss elder fraud prevention with your attorney. I forwarded to Harrison. He shot back, "We'll go after the gala." I checked the clock, 12:18 p.m. I marked the wall timeline. Bank, 8:10. Clerk, 9:40. Attorney, 11:30. Mail, 12:05. At the bottom I wrote, Monday, home confrontation, 10 o'clock. I stepped back. Meta looked around the room. Light came through the blinds, landing square on the legal notice envelope, the red letters glowing. I'd touched the black pouch. Smooth, cold, steady. Worry drained out of me like old oil from a crankcase. In its place came a familiar feeling for a mechanic. Hand on the handle. The work had a rhythm now, which bolt to loosen, which to torque, where to grease, what to wipe clean. Only today it wasn't a machine, it was family. I turned off the kitchen light, glanced at the notes on the fridge. No payment, no performance. Beside it, no respect, no relationship. 2 short lines like 2 door bolts. I locked them in my head one more time. Only postpone final payments, keep deposits, written notice in full, commit to reasonable costs, by the book, by the person. I pulled up my calendar, scrolled to Tuesday, and deleted the doctor 10:30 appointment. I added a new event on Monday, 10 o'clock. Family meeting, recorder on. Red, all caps. I checked my watch. 72 hours until the Tuesday of destiny they'd planned. I smiled to myself. There is no Tuesday, I said softly. Set the table for the talk right here at home. Monday morning, 9:55. I squared the paper edges on the living room table until they lined up. The voicemail transcript, the bank audit logs, the copies from the county clerk, the St. Francis intake fee receipt, the printed family accord. In the center sat a small recorder, the green light waiting for a press. To my right, the notary set down her bag, opened her ledger, and held the seal ready. To my left was Harrison Ford, attorney, gray jacket, fountain pen laid crosswise like a boundary line. I listened to the wall clock. Tick, tick, like a sawtooth kissing metal. 10 o'clock. The door opened. Emma came in first, beige coat, hair pulled back in a hurry. Derek followed, gripping a large coffee. They both paused at the sight of strangers. Emma looked at me, forced a smile. "Dad, what's—" "Sit," I said, low. I pointed to the chairs. Emma set her bag down. Derek pulled out a chair, trying for calm. I hit record. The green light flipped to red. Harrison didn't warm up. "Good morning. I'm Harrison Ford, attorney for Mr. Henderson. This meeting is being recorded. Purpose: to present evidence related to a forged POA, attempted guardianship, and misrepresentation with the nursing home. After that, Mr. Henderson will present a family accord, a conditional path to make amends. If you refuse, all files go to court." Derek raised an eyebrow. "A lawyer? We don't—" "Listen first," I said. Then talk. Harrison set the voicemail transcript on the table, tapped his pen on a yellow highlighted line. This is the transcript of the voicemail Emma accidentally sent at 9:47 p.m. We'll play the audio. He opened the file. The living room filled with my daughter's voice. Dad won't see it coming. Carol says guardianship is easy once the report says mild cognitive decline. Derek's voice layered in. If he signs nothing, we still have Carol. Paper can say he's confused. Emma went pale. He dragged the slider to the middle. The house is at what, 480? We move him to St. Francis, 800 a month. Done. My throat tightened, but I kept still. Harrison pushed to the kicker. Emma's dry laugh in the file. God forgive me if she dies there. Then Derek, a blurred, "We'll be fine." The room froze. The clock ticked, like it was counting down a life. Emma pressed a hand to her forehead. Dad, that was exaggerating. I'm scared. Derek lost his job, debt. If it was for me, I cut in, each word clean. Why did you need fake papers? Harrison dropped the stack of audit logs. The bank confirms. POA on file last week. Signature doesn't match. This is the branch manager's affidavit, notarized. Here's the new beneficiary change. Assets moved to Ruth's Bench Community Trust. Lawful. Time-stamped before this meeting. The notary nodded and stamped a confirming sheet with a short, hard thunk. I slid the county clerk copies toward them. Carol read a statement into the recorder. These papers don't have my signature. She inserted materials into the county file. Here's the guardianship draft and the fake medical notes saying mild impairment suspected. Who suspected? Which clinic? Who paid? Derek opened his mouth. We just wanted a backup. You forget things. I underwent an independent cognitive evaluation yesterday, Harrison said, sliding a hospital-stamped report across. Conclusion: cognitive function intact for age. No evidence of dementia. Mr. Henderson is fully competent. Any other notes are misrepresentation. Emma's eyes filled. I was scared, Dad. Scared of going back to those years. I know, I said, voice dropping. I was scared once too. Fear doesn't permit fraud. Harrison moved to the St. Francis receipt. You paid $1,200 for intake. This morning we sent written notice, canceling due to misrepresentation, demanding the preliminary file be destroyed. Here's the certified mail receipt. He tapped the red legal notice envelope. Derek's tone shifted, calculating now. If that was a misstep, we can pull it. No need for jail, I said. We need structure. I set the family accord in front of them. This is how you hug the shore instead of scuttling the boat. Harrison read slowly, each item landing where it should. 1. Public apology, no but. Posted in the same group where Emma posted elder safety tips and send a correction letter to St. Francis. 2. Take down all smear posts plus publish a correction within 48 hours. 3. 12 weeks of community service. Emma at the city library, 3 shifts a week, shelving and assisting reading classes. Derek at the youth shop, 3 shifts a week, teaching tool safety. Timesheets public, signed by a supervisor. 4. After 12 weeks plus a personal apology letter to Mr. Henderson, the Ruth's Bench Vocational Fund will open to support post-secondary costs for your children, if the relationship still exists. 5. No respect, no relationship. Any future documents involving Mr. Henderson require witnesses plus minutes plus recording. No exceptions. 6. Violate the accord, we file civil/criminal. Forgery, elder exploitation, attempted unlawful transfer. Harrison closed the packet and slid it back. The notary is here to witness signatures. Emma choked on a breath. You want me to wipe down books? I want you to clean your own name, I said. And mine. Derek leaned back, bargaining. Community service sounds doable, but the public apology, do we need that? You went public to smear, I said. You'll go public to set it right. And the house? Emma glanced around, eyes landing on her graduation photo. Are you going to sell? House decisions come after the gala, Harrison cut in. Right now it's truth and discipline. Derek changed tack. If we sign, will you pull the blog and the talk show? The legal analysis is already out under a 72-hour embargo, Harrison said. If you sign within 48 hours and complete items 1 through 2, we'll ask the blogger to frame it as education. No names. The talk show after the gala will cover elder fraud prevention, no specific case. We're not looking to destroy anyone. We're looking to repair. Emma looked at me. Dad, I've gone too far. I don't need jail to teach you, I said, each word dropping like rivets. I need truth, useful work, and a proper apology. Silence. Only the recorder's faint hum and the clock's steady pulse. I looked at Emma's hands. Those hands once wrapped a 14-millimeter wrench for the first time. Those hands were shaking now. Harrison broke the quiet with plain reality. If you refuse, we file. We have enough. Voicemail, audit logs, county copies, Carol's admission. You have the right to counsel, but understand, court doesn't have the Ruth's bench fund or a way back. Emma inhaled. If we agree, Dad, will you talk to me? Just us? After 1 through 2 are done, I said. And after the gala. The pastor will read your mother's moral letter there. You'll see what boundaries look like when the world is watching. Derek lowered his eyes. I have to admit, he said softly. I miscalculated. I don't want police in the house. He glanced at Emma. Let's sign. Emma turned to me. Dad, I'm sorry. Tears bright. No but. I used fear the wrong way. I nodded, barely. Pick up the pen. No but. The notary offered the pen. Emma took it, her hand unsteady. Harrison pointed to the thin line. Signature. Sign, print your name, date. Below is the acknowledgement before the notary. Emma set the tip to paper, lifted her eyes at me once, like signed in one motion, a practical man watching the scale tilt. The notary's seal came down hard on his page. Then Emma. The pen touched down, trembled. Her wrist hitched like it had met a rusted bolt. She drew a breath, lips moving. Dad, will you stand behind me? I'm standing in front of you, I said, steady, to watch you choose. The recorder's red light burned between us. In the corner, the shop apron I'd hung like a forecast for the next 12 weeks, where Derek would teach kids to keep the saw blade straight. Emma bent to the page. The pen made half of the first stroke of the E, and stopped. The air stretched tight enough to pluck. The clock clicked once, sharp. The pen shook over Emma's signature line. Winter Lights Gala. Evening. The community center stage was covered in paper roses the kids had folded, blue and purple lights sweeping across rows of wooden chairs. I sat in the third row, my hand brushing the worn wedding ring in my coat pocket. On stage, Pastor Daniel held a cream envelope, Ruth's handwriting. He smiled at me before opening it. His voice was low, warm. Dear Robert, if I go first, don't turn love into a burden. Help, not enable. Teach our child boundaries. Hold dignity with ink and paper. Help each other with structure, not with tears. The hall went silent, as if the whole room swallowed a beam of light. I could hear a chair creak and my own heartbeat slow. The pastor folded the letter and continued. This is Ruth's moral letter. Tonight we honor boundaries and respect. Not to blame, but to heal. On my right, Harrison Ford gave a small nod. On my left, the notary waited. Behind me, Emma and Derek sat close, though their hands weren't as tightly laced as before. When the MC called the Henderson family to the stage for the community pledge, I stood, took a deep breath. The lights hit hard, and I saw every dust mote in my mind settle. On the small table center stage lay the family accord. The recorder sat in the middle. The notary waited with her seal. Harrison clipped on a mic, his voice steady. By private agreement, only 2 items are to be completed tonight in public. Signing the accord and reading an apology without a but. Everything else will be carried out over the next 12 weeks, under supervision. Emma stepped forward first, holding the mic with both hands. Her voice was soft but steady. I'm sorry, Dad. No but. I used fear the wrong way and wronged the man who raised me. I'll make it right with work, not words. Derek followed, looking straight at me. I'm sorry, Mr. Henderson. I tried to profit off your kindness. I'll take responsibility. The notary passed the pen. The seal hit the page after Emma signed, sharp as a lock snapping shut. Derek signed, another crisp thump. The recorder blinked red, like the law nodding its head. Afterward, the MC invited everyone to the community photo exhibit. In the corner hung a board. Respect in, benefits out. Below it was a 12-week service chart. Emma's name under Fort Collins Public Library, 3 shifts a week. Derek's under Teen Shop, Safety Bench, 3 shifts a week. The first 2 boxes already blank, labeled with dates. I looked at Emma and nodded. She answered with a steady glance. I get it. The next morning, a public correction appeared in the same group where Emma had once posted elder safety tips. I, Emma Henderson, posted misleading information about elder care and hurt my father. I apologize and withdraw all past posts. I will complete 12 weeks of community service at the library. I ask the community to hold me accountable. Pinned for 48 hours. The comments were quieter than I expected. A heart here, someone wrote, courage. 3 days later, the blogger's legal analysis went live, right on the 72-hour embargo. About elder fraud prevention, no names. That weekend, the local talk show invited Harrison. The topic? Elder fraud prevention. On the radio, his tone was calm. Paper is the first levy. I chuckled in my old truck when he quoted himself. We won't burn bridges. We'll block exits. His voice still dry and warm, like the law should be. My finances settled into place too. I sold the old house, moved into a senior living apartment for $85,000. Bright enough for sun, small enough not to feed loneliness. The difference I placed in the community trust and the Ruth's Bench Vocational Fund. I announced a new addendum to my will before the lawyer and notary. Contest equals forfeit. Any baseless challenge loses all benefits. I signed, the seal snapping. I joked to Harrison. My shirt doesn't smell like grease anymore, but my heart's still warm. He grinned. Keep it warm, not on fire. In the new apartment, I set Ruth's old trade journal on the shelf. Pages spotted with oil had become a legacy beyond money. How to keep a saw straight. How to tell a kid holding a drill for the first time. Breathe in before you press. Breathe out when the bit meets the wood. I added a community service condition. Anyone wanting support from Ruth's bench fund must complete at least 60 hours of community service, preferably teaching safe skills to teens. The lawyer stamped the term sheet. I felt Ruth nodding. Week 1 of 12 began. At the library, Emma wore a volunteer badge, pushing a cart down the local history aisle. She asked the librarian, "Should these go under Dewey 973? Her tone was softer now, not rushing. I watched from a distance, not interfering. That afternoon I went to the teen shop. Gloves hung off the bench. Derek wore safety goggles, showing kids how to drill along chalk lines. "Clamp with a C. Don't hold with your hand," he told them. That was right. I nodded. During break, he came over. "Thanks for the chance. I won't waste it." I said, "Keep the saw straight. The rest will follow." The days carried both rough notes and warm ones. One afternoon, Emma cried on the library steps after an elderly woman thanked her, not knowing the backstory, just grateful the books are neat. Another day, Derek fumed when a kid snapped a drill bit, then calmed himself and taught again from scratch. His excuses thinned, replaced with skill. Thursday night, Harrison's mini radio talk aired. Elder Fraud 101, POA, Beneficiary, Guardianship. Big words, not just for lawyers. He read each item like a tool manual. I laughed alone. Just my kind of style. Clear, clean, no fluff. The payoff for no payment, no performance landed too. Vendors got letters of concern, deposits held, final payments paused, no lawsuits. One band leader wrote back, "You meta. Ones respect that." I replied, "I respect your music too." Harrison said, "That's paperwork speaking politely." By the weekend, I hauled the last boxes. Ruth's photo hung on the white wall, facing the window where sunlight dripped slow. I sat on the bench I built, hand on its old scratch. "Ruth," I whispered. I didn't forgive with tears. I forgave with structure. Sunday night, the Gala closed with country music. The pastor leaned in. "Ruth's letter helped many tonight." I said, "It helped me first." He smiled. "Next Friday, share 5 minutes about Ruth's bench?" I nodded. 5 minutes is enough for one solid rivet. Leaving the center, snow drifted thin. I stopped, watching the community shop lights still on. The teens weren't ready to go home. Emma passed by, hesitated like she wanted to say more, then simply, "Tomorrow I'm on 6 to 8. Don't be late, Dad." I answered, "I'll be on time," like an agreement. I touched the worn ring, cold, real. The doors that needed closing were shut. The ones that needed opening, open. I turned toward the lot, lighter, like finishing the last bolt on a machine running smooth again. Robert, final. This door I opened myself. On black a line appeared, soft hook for the next chapter. Week 1 of 12 begins. Is a proper apology enough? And off frame, a middle-aged woman approached me in the parking lot. Mr. Henderson, my family, we just lost documents to a toxic relative too. Could you show me the way? I looked toward the shop lights, still glowing, and smiled. Tomorrow, 8 a.m. Bring the papers.